Can money buy happiness? It's an old question with a new wrinkle. Our lives are mediated by screens that sell comparison at scale, while our brains still use ancient software to decide what feels good and what feels safe. If you treat the question like a slogan, the answers get loud and useless. Either yes, obviously, or no, of course not. But if you treat it like a design problem, the answer becomes practical. Money can't purchase the emotion on demand like a button, but it can buy conditions: time, margin, health, security, flexibility, proximity to people you love that make happiness easier to find and harder to lose. The trick is to learn which purchases move the needle, which only move the moment, and how to use money as a tool for a life you actually like living when nobody's watching. Let's start by getting our terms straight. Psychologists often separate how you feel today, your mood, your day-to-day emotion, from how you judge your life overall, your life satisfaction. You can be satisfied and still have a rough Tuesday. You can be in a decent mood and still know you've drifted off course. Money interacts with both, sometimes strongly, often indirectly. If your finances are fragile, more money can remove anxiety that swallows joy wholesale. If you're safe but restless, more money can help you shape a week that fits your values better. If your needs are met and your calendar is your own, more money might flatten out into a side effect rather than a source. The headline is simple: the relationship is real, but it's curved. It isn't magic, but it isn't nothing. Part of the confusion comes from the way our brains adapt. The first time you unlock a nicer apartment or a car that starts every time, your nervous system throws a party. 2 months later, it throws a shrug. That's hedonic adaptation. Humans normalize quickly. Adaptation is a gift when something bad happens. It's a leash when something good does. Money used on one-time upgrades tends to decay in happiness value unless those upgrades permanently change your time, your health, or your relationships. The couch you love stops making you smile. The commute you eliminated keeps paying you every morning. The question to keep asking is not what will feel good on Saturday, it's what will feel good repeatedly without more effort. Comparison is the other villain in this story. Happiness is relative in two senses: relative to your yesterday and relative to your peers. If your new job pays more than your old one, your brain cheers until you notice your colleague's bonus. If your rent is affordable, your brain relaxes until your feed whispers that the kitchen looks last decade. You cannot delete comparison, but you can choose which comparisons you expose yourself to and how often. The rarest luxury in a rich society is not a car, it's being unbothered. Money can buy some of that if you use it to design less exposure to the constant auction for your attention and your envy. So what does money buy well? Start with safety and the removal of negatives. It's fashionable to preach minimalism and experience over things, but that skips step one. Step one is paying to stop the everyday pains that erode well-being. Noisy stressors you could silence, small risks you could insure, precarious housing you could stabilize, debt that turns every month into a cliff, a broken appliance you could replace instead of coax for another year, a doctor you could finally go see instead of Googling symptoms at midnight. Happiness loves subtraction. Removing chronic annoyances, uncertainty, and avoidable crises lifts more mood per dollar than almost anything else. Money buys happiness when it buys a quieter baseline. After safety, money buys time. Time is the raw material of meaning. You can use it for sleep, craft, friendships, meals that don't arrive in a bag, and the kind of unhurried attention that relationships eat and thrive on. In practice, buying time means selecting a few recurring chores that cost less to outsource than the value of your best hours and handing them to someone else with dignity. It means moving closer to work or reshaping your work so the commute shrinks. It means paying for tools that compress drudgery, automation that sends invoices, a password manager that saves you 30 minutes a week, a robot that vacuums so you take a walk. The happiness dividend isn't just the hour you bought back, it's the better choice you make during that hour because you aren't frazzled. Money buys flexibility. Flexibility lets you match your day to your energy instead of forcing your energy to match your day. An emergency fund is flexible money. The washing machine dies and you pay once without paying interest and panic. A small buffer in your calendar is flexible time. Your kid gets sick and you reschedule instead of combusting. A modest cash cushion turns bad luck into an errand. People underestimate how much happiness rides on the feeling, "I can handle this." Money arranged in buffers and policies gives you that feeling cheaply compared to the cost of living with constant dread. Money can buy experiences, and experiences tend to beat things when they're chosen with care. Why? Because experiences often include other people, create stories you retell, and resist comparison. You can't park a memory next to someone else's and feel lesser. But the rule is subtler than experience is good, stuff bad. If a thing creates repeated experiences, skis that pull you into winter with people you love, a guitar that turns into 1,000 quiet evenings, a well-seasoned pan that becomes dinner with friends, it behaves like an experience. If an experience is hollow, another must-do item that felt like a line in a receipt, it behaves like stuff. Spend on the parts of your life that produce stories you want to keep telling. Money buys generosity, and generosity buys warmth. Giving isn't just noble, it's regulating. Humans are social animals, and we are wired to reward behavior that binds the group. Money used to ease someone's week, given without a lecture or a selfie, returns as a feeling that you are the kind of person you admire. That identity is durable. If you're not rich, start microscopic. Tip a little extra when someone is clearly tired. Bring a coffee to a colleague who's in the trenches. Buy a child's backpack through a local school. Generosity is a muscle. The point is not the receipt, but the reflex. Over time, giving rewires what you count as winning. That's a kind of happiness money can spark and sustain. Money buys education, and those buy autonomy. Happiness has a strong component of agency, the sense that your choices matter. Skills increase your price in the market and your confidence in the room. Classes, coaching, conferences, books, software tools that turn your abilities into outcomes faster, these are purchases that keep paying, not because they impress people, but because they expand what you can say yes to. The caveat is to choose learning with receipts. Don't buy the idea of becoming a person you admire, buy the specific practice that makes you useful tomorrow morning. Use it once in the real world within a week, or you paid for a daydream.
Money buys place, and place buys mood. Your neighborhood, your walls, your commute, your daylight, your access to green things, these shape your baseline more than occasional splurges. An apartment with sunlight and a stove you love can make you happier than extra square footage and a car payment. A quieter street can lower your resting heart rate more than a fancier restaurant can raise your joy rate. If moving is on the table, ask which place makes your good choices cheaper and your bad choices harder. That's what you're buying, friction in the right direction. Money can buy health, not because doctors sell happiness, but because the infrastructure of health removes grief and resignations from your future. Sleep matters. A better mattress, a blackout curtain, a white noise machine, a phone that charges outside the bedroom, that spending returns as patience and better decisions. Movement matters. Shoes that don't hurt, a gym you actually go to, a bike that fits, a class with people you like, those lower your stress bill every week. Food matters. A pan that cooks well, a knife that cuts easily, a habit of stocking real ingredients, those beat takeout both in cost and in mood. Medical care matters. A relationship with a doctor or therapist you trust lets you catch things early and treat them without panic. None of this is glamorous. All of it is potent. Of course, money can also buy misery when you aim it at the wrong targets. Status consumption is the most obvious trap. Things that exist to be seen cost more than they're worth to you and train your brain to seek applause instead of peace. Debt-financed lifestyle is the second trap. Interest extracts rent from your future to pay for today's boredom. A third trap is subscriptions that siphon identity. I'm a person who has, without supporting the life you say you want. Canceling a dozen small leaks is not about discipline. It's about refusing to spend your attention keeping track of nickels while the dollars you wanted to direct toward better things get blocked by your own drift. There's a subtler trap, using money to numb discomfort you should be listening to. If work is crushing your spirit, 5 vacations a year won't fix it. They'll make the return flight heavier. If a relationship is brittle, jewelry won't glue it. Tender time and honest conversations might. If your days feel cramped, shopping won't stretch them. Boundaries will. Money is a powerful painkiller. Painkillers are for short-term relief while you heal the wound. Know when you're medicating and when you're mending. So how do you aim money at happiness on purpose? Start with a sentence that describes a happy week for you, not a fantasy week, your week. I wake up rested, I do 2 blocks of real work, I eat with someone I love, I move my body, I have an hour to read or make something, I go to bed without dread. That sentence tells money where to go. If sleep is in the sentence, spend on the conditions of sleep. If meals together are in the sentence, spend on a better table, better groceries, or fewer late meetings. If making things is in the sentence, spend on the tools and the time, by buying back chores or by buying a smaller place closer to work where you gain hours each week. Money buys happiness when it buys alignment between your calendar and your values. Give your money simple rails so it serves the plan instead of interrupting it. Route income on payday to a bills account that pays the roof and the utilities, a safety buffer that handles the inevitable, an investment lane that owns broad, low-cost funds on autopilot, and a weekly card for life. The leftover is for joy without guilt. This is not budgeting as punishment, it's logistics as kindness. When you stop asking your tired 9 p.m. brain to make the right call in the checkout line, your spending begins to look like your priorities without constant heroics. Track feelings, not just finances, for 1 month. After each meaningful purchase, write a single line in your notes: what you bought, why, and how it felt a week later. Patterns will expose themselves. You'll notice which treats linger and which evaporate. You'll notice that some frugal choices feel tight in the moment and expansive over time, while some splurges feel exciting, then heavy. You'll start to craft a personal map of high-return joy versus low-return noise. That map is worth more than any influencer list of top 10 things to make you happy, because it's specifically calibrated to your nervous system, your neighborhood, and your story. Beware the tyranny of averages. Studies talk about happiness on average, but you don't live on average. You live in a specific body, a specific family, a specific city. If your parents are aging, happiness money might be fly home twice this year. If your kid lights up outdoors, happiness money might be buy a state park pass and a used kayak. If your back hurts from a cheap chair, happiness money might be buy the chair, sell the back pain. If you're lonely, happiness money might be a class with people who talk, not an app with people who swipe. Refuse to outsource your preferences. Research offers clues, your life writes the answer key. There's a subtler trap, using money to numb discomfort you should be listening to. If work is crushing your spirit, 5 vacations a year won't fix it. They'll make the return flight heavier. If a relationship is brittle, jewelry won't glue it. Tender time and honest conversations might. If your days feel cramped, shopping won't stretch them. Boundaries will. Money is a powerful painkiller. Painkillers are for short-term relief while you heal the wound. Know when you're medicating and when you're mending. So how do you aim money at happiness on purpose? Start with a sentence that describes a happy week for you, not a fantasy week, your week. I wake up rested, I do 2 blocks of real work, I eat with someone I love, I move my body, I have an hour to read or make something, I go to bed without dread. That sentence tells money where to go. If sleep is in the sentence, spend on the conditions of sleep. If meals together are in the sentence, spend on a better table, better groceries, or fewer late meetings. If making things is in the sentence, spend on the tool and the time, by buying back chores or by buying a smaller place closer to work where you gain hours each week. Money buys happiness when it buys alignment between your calendar and your values. Give your money simple rails so it serves the plan instead of interrupting it. Route income on payday to a bills account that pays the roof and the utilities, a safety buffer that handles the inevitable, an investment lane that owns broad, low-cost funds on autopilot, and a weekly card for life. The leftover is for joy without guilt. This is not budgeting as punishment, it's logistics as kindness. When you stop asking your tired 9 p.m. brain to make the right call in the checkout line, your spending begins to look like your priorities without constant heroics. Track feelings, not just finances, for 1 month. After each meaningful purchase, write a single line in your notes: what you bought, why, and how it felt a week later. Patterns will expose themselves. You'll notice which treats linger and which evaporate. You'll notice that some frugal choices feel tight in the moment and expansive over time, while some splurges feel exciting, then heavy. You'll start to craft a personal map of high-return joy versus low-return noise. That map is worth more than any influencer list of top 10 things to make you happy, because it's specifically calibrated to your nervous system, your neighborhood, and your story. Beware the tyranny of averages. Studies talk about happiness on average, but you don't live on average. You live in a specific body, a specific family, a specific city. If your parents are aging, happiness money might be fly home twice this year. If your kid lights up outdoors, happiness money might be buy a state park pass and a used kayak. If your back hurts from a cheap care, happiness money might be buy the chair, sell the back pain. If you're lonely, happiness money might be a class with people who talk, not an app with people who swipe. Refuse to outsource your preferences. Research offers clues, your life writes the answer key. If you're short on money, the question isn't offensive, it's urgent. Poverty is loud, it taxes attention. In that context, the most happiness per dollar purchase is often stability. Rent paid on time, a car that starts, a lock that works, a fridge with groceries that last, a child's school supplies ready on day one, a coat that keeps out the wind. There is profound dignity in money used to make chaos less likely. The culture worships memorable experiences. When money is tight, the most memorable experience is a week without emergencies. If you're helping someone else with money, respect this order. Help them buy calm first. Joy rests on calm. If you have plenty, the question becomes ethical. How much of your happiness sits on the shoulders of underpaid labor and externized costs? Money can buy privacy, quiet, and convenience by moving friction out of your sightline. Some of that is fine. Some of it is just paying to avoid looking at the world's bill. There's a version of happiness that includes paying a little more for businesses that treat people well, tipping like a person who sees the other person, and funding places, libraries, parks, local arts that make your neighborhood kinder, even for people who can't buy their way out of annoyance. You don't have to become a saint, just widen the circle of what counts as me. Generosity, again, is a happiness amplifier because it makes your identity bigger than your purchase history. Let's talk about love and money because they trade with each other constantly. Couples argue about money because money expresses values. One person's "we deserve this" is another person's "we're not safe yet." If happiness is the goal, you're not trying to win the argument, you're trying to write a script you can both act in without resentment. That script includes a shared picture of a good week, lanes for goals and fun, a threshold for ask first purchases, and a small allowance for each person to spend without commentary. The happiest couples don't spend less, they spend with fewer surprises. Peace in a home is worth more than an upgrade measured in inches.
There's a creative dimension to this too. Many of the happiest moments in a household come from rituals that cost little and repeat well. Friday pasta with friends, Sunday walks, movie night on the floor with homemade popcorn, a monthly museum and cheap lunch day, a winter reading club. Money funds the ingredients and the time, creativity turns them into ritual. The algorithm will tell you to chase novelty. Rituals outcompete novelty because they're sustainable. You don't have to decide every week. Decision fatigue kills joy. Rituals revive it. What about the idea that money can't buy happiness at all? There's a noble version and a cruel version. The noble version reminds you that friendship, meaning, purpose, and love aren't for sale. True. The cruel version is used to scold people who are struggling. Money won't solve anything. That's wrong. Money solves a lot. It solves cold, hunger, eviction, debt spirals, transportation, dental pain, the ability to say no to a dangerous job or relationship. If you've always had enough, be careful not to romanticize scarcity. If you've never had enough, be careful not to romanticize wealth. Most of happiness lives in ordinary rooms done well, not in extremes. On the flip side, there's the idea that more is always better. That's also wrong. Beyond a certain point, pursuing more money trades away the very ingredients money was supposed to buy: time, health, closeness, curiosity. If you're sacrificing all your evenings to meet a number without checking whether that number actually purchases anything you want, you're working for a spreadsheet, not a life. Raise your floor fast, raise your ceiling with care. The art is knowing when to stop optimizing and start inhabiting. A few stories make this practical. A couple in their early 30s moved to a cheaper neighborhood 15 minutes closer to work, bought a used electric bike and a grocery cart, set up a friends fund that paid for one dinner party a month, and paid a neighbor's teenager to babysit every other Friday so they could walk and talk. They canceled 3 subscriptions and used the money to hire a cleaner for 3 hours every other week. Their net spend didn't explode, their mood did. They didn't become richer on paper, they became richer in their kitchen, their sleep, and their calendar. A single woman in her late 20s stopped chasing apartment aesthetics and bought a secondhand desk, an ergonomic chair, and a monitor that made her work kinder to her body. She put her phone to sleep in the kitchen at night and bought a sunrise alarm. She joined a ceramics studio because she wanted her hands back. Her budget didn't get tighter, it got sharper. 6 months later, she felt lucky. Luck looked like fewer headaches, fewer pointless online orders, and more dinners at home with other humans. Money bought happiness not because it multiplied, because it targeted. A man in his 50s used a windfall to become done, then discovered he missed his friends and his purpose. He re-entered his old field part-time, mentored younger colleagues, and used money to protect the days he loved. Wednesdays for hiking, Fridays for the soup kitchen, a standing phone call with his sister, a monthly gift to the local library. Happiness returned not when he stopped working, but when he stopped working for anything that didn't match his values. Money gave him the option, values gave him the map. If you want to run a 1-month experiment, here's a gentle one. In week 1, remove a negative that's been nagging. Replace the thing that breaks, fix the small injury, change the password chaos, buy the blackout curtain. In week 2, buy back a slice of time. Hire a task you hate for 2 hours, move one recurring errand online, or choose closer over cooler for something that steals your hours. In week 3, fund an experience with people you actually like. Cook at your place, book the tickets, pick a date, and protect it. In week 4, give some money away, quietly, where you can see the difference. During the month, keep that feelings log. At the end, compare the receipts to your mood. You'll know what to double down on next month. What about investing? Isn't that the longer lever for happiness? Yes and no. Investing buys future options. It lowers the volume on fear. It lets you say yes without asking permission. But investing also requires a posture that supports happiness now, patience, the ability to ignore noise, the willingness to let compounding do its work while you do yours. The happiest investors I've met treat portfolios like gardens. They water on schedule, prune gently, and spend most of their time enjoying other parts of life. They invest in broad, low-cost funds, automate contributions, and rebalance on their birthday. The point is not to gawk at charts. It's to let future you enjoy a life that rhymes with present you, just calmer. If you share money with someone, create a joy budget on purpose. It can be small, but it must be named. If joy is unbudgeted, it gets vetoed by guilt or it sneaks in as debt. A named joy budget says, "We expect good days," and prevents the kind of resentment that makes couples pick fights over takeout because nobody ever said what was allowed. The clever part is to make the joy budget by rituals, not randoms. Rituals scale happiness, randoms entertain it. Technology can help if it's humble. Use automatic transfers so your better self speaks louder than your tired one. Use a shared calendar for people you love. Use a list app for gifts so you can buy small, thoughtful things when you see them, not panic shop in December. Use screen time limits for the week you're trying to write or to be present. Tech doesn't make you happy, it makes it easier to execute the script you promised yourself you'd follow. Money can buy silence, and silence is where you hear the part of you that isn't trying to win or perform. Silence can be a walk, a turned-off phone, a room where you make things badly and laugh with a friend. If there's one line to keep from all of this, maybe it's this: spend money in ways that make you like your days and your character. The car disappears in 3 years. The character speaks up in every conversation you have, including the ones with yourself. So, can money buy happiness? Not directly. It doesn't land on your porch in a package with a smile. But money can buy you out of avoidable suffering, buy you into rooms where your best self shows up more often, and buy you the time to do the work and love the people that make life feel like it's yours. If you aim at its status, it will leave you hungry. If you aim it at alignment, it will feed you. If you spend it on applause, it will ask for more. If you spend it on rhythm, it will give you more back. Start small and honest. Replace one thing that's stealing joy daily. Buy back 1 hour a week. Put a tiny recurring transfer on the calendar that funds experiences you never regret. Give some away without telling anyone. And when the world shouts about what you need to be okay, walk into your kitchen, make something simple, and look at the people who share your table. Happiness lives there, bought with time more than with things, but supported quietly by money used well. That's the purchase you can make again and again until your days feel like they belong to you and your money behaves like a tool you respect instead of a scoreboard you fear.